Hello, and welcome to the first episode of a podcast that, at the time of recording, is not currently named. Our plan here is to talk a little bit about things that interest us and about our lives, and then about a campaign of Dungeons & Dragons that has been going on for 2 years? Is it 2 years at this point?
Yes.
2 years? Yeah, okay. But yeah, so, depending on where you're hearing this from, you may know me as Chris or Alvesie. Nicholas.
Oh, sorry. Hold on.
You dumbass!
I didn't see that. Sorry.
You had one job.
Turn off the fucking game. So we're just doing our names?
Yes!
You just noticed that.
Okay. Sorry. I didn't have anything on my screen beforehand. Nothing like that. I'm Nick.
I'm Graden.
I'm Taylor.
I'm Adam.
I'm Jake.
I'm Cubby. And last but not least, the man who managed to make 2 introductions, Graden again.
Dork.
Unlike a certain someone who couldn't do one.
I did
No,
one.
it would be tough.
I
Lego
meant
Star
Nick.
Oh,
Lego Star Wars was too
Nothing
important.
happened there. It's fine.
So,
Obviously.
Let's finish story.
what?
Nothing. Continue.
This is why. Okay, cool. So, how are you guys doing today? It's a nice, sort of cool Tuesday. It's not super duper hot. How are you guys feeling today?
I work outside and the sun is hot, so it's hot. And I'm
You don't
happy because now I get to sit down.
I picked
don't work.
blueberries for most of the day, so no.
Yep. Poor Cubby.
Doesn't even like
Chooses
blueberries.
this life.
It's nice here.
Shit, I
true.
did.
Man.
Yeah. And stars.
And definitely nothing else going on the screen.
Definitely not Lego Star Wars.
Yeah. Right. No Lego Star Wars at all. Definitely wasn't
No
a
Lego Star Wars.
30-minute discussion before this about not playing Lego Star Wars
No.
while trying to record. And missing your cue for the introduction. Nothing like that.
No, there's nothing.
Definitely not.
Yeah, no. Of course not.
He totally did not make my character into a burnt marshmallow.
Yeah.
Speaking about burnt marshmallows, as far as things that are totally unrelated to the topic that we're going to normally cover in this, which is Dungeons and Dragons, I want to talk a little bit about something most of us did a couple weeks ago. We went to pre-release. The new Magic the Gathering set, Adventures in Forgotten Realms, dropped.
Which is Dungeons and Dragons.
What does that have to do with burnt marshmallows?
Nothing,
That's
that's
the
the
point.
joke.
That was the
okay.
point.
Huh.
But yeah, so it's been like a couple of weeks since then now, so I just wanted to hear what you guys had to say, if you had anything to say about, not necessarily cards, because there's going to be enough nerds talking about which cards are good and which cards are not good. I want to hear what you guys thought about the event.
I want to say I feel called out, and that was kind of mean.
Definitely calling you.
For reference,
I thought it was great.
yeah, for reference, Jake was not available for this, and Graden had some of the worst luck in his draw imaginable. So,
In my life, actually.
it was pretty bad.
Considering how many times he did luck, I think he deserved it.
Shut up. My luck's terrible all the time, and you guys just don't recognize it.
Until D&D time.
When was the last time you rolled 2 natural 20s?
Okay, but you need to think about how many dice he rolls a session.
Okay. When was the last time I rolled 1 natural 20?
Okay, but you're
On dorsal.
Yeah.
Yeah, that wasn't my main character.
Well, maybe you should get good.
We are
Well,
2 minutes
You
in.
know what?
We are 2 minutes in, ladies and gentlemen,
I mean, it is
and
our
we've
game.
already gone off course.
I thought pre-release was terrible. but I'm
Oh.
biased.
I thought it was pretty great, but that's just because it was my first time there.
I got some packs, which is cool.
Something to celebrate is that we all got at least one pack out of the deal, even if one of them was a pity pack.
No, it was not pity. It was an agreement on gentlemen.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
I never got a pack. Thank you.
You got a booster box.
I got a booster box, but I didn't get a prize pack or anything. So
Oh.
don't say all of us got one, even if.
Oh, shut up. You got a Modern Horizons 2 pack.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, it's not like that's worth twice as much as one Adventures in the Forgotten Realms, but whatever.
Continue, Chris.
This is a group thing. This is not a I lead the discussion deal. I wanted to hear what
Yeah.
you guys had to say. Because
We need
I
a leader.
have
He's also DM.
yes, which yeah.
And a lot of other people.
I'm keeping this
Really so
entire
good.
silence in.
Oh, yeah.
Pre-release was pretty good. It was kind of weird that we were there half an hour early, yet we still started a half an hour late.
You mean like an hour early, bud?
Eh.
We pulled in at like 6:10, and you guys have been standing there for like 10 minutes.
True.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we got there a little bit before, a little bit after 6, I think.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't that bad. But what that is a small bookstore full of very sweaty people in the hot summer. That was fun.
Very warm.
Adam has been trying to talk for 30 seconds, so Adam, take the floor, please.
No, poor Adam.
I wasn't, but okay.
Oh, I thought you were talking, sorry.
Well, now you have to.
Yeah, say something. Speech.
Speech.
It was fun. I was very dehydrated the whole time because I forgot a drink.
Hmm.
That was less than enjoyable, but the rest was fun.
Did you win
I
2?
told-
Why don't we tell about the decks we made?
That's a good idea. Adam, did you win 2 games or 3 games?
He won
I
at
won
least-
2.
1,
Yeah.
2. Nick was the only one that won 3 out of us.
Technically, yeah.
Nick cheated.
Yeah.
Only one of them. Only one was a free game that no one fought me against because they didn't have enough people.
Yes.
And my only win was a free pass. So
So let's go in the opposite order of introduction to talk about the decks we made. Which means, Graden, with your double billing, you're first.
yeah, I made a because I have a one-track mind. I made a teamer whatever deck because I didn't have any good cards, and I just put whatever cool cards I wanted in it, and that's it. I had no purpose. Oh no, wait, that's a lie. I lied entirely.
Wow.
I intended to make a red-blue dice roller deck, but I missed all of the key cards I needed for that deck. So I think I had to throw green in as a patchwork fix, and it went terribly.
Yeah, if you're here for the D&D and not Magic necessarily, basically, this was the first set that added rolling D20s into the game. And so he tried to build upon that, and, well, your card draw, I gotta say, I've opened a lot of packs and wasted a lot of money on Magic cards. That was pretty rough.
I've had worse,
That's fair.
but only in way of not getting what I wanted. To be fair, my concept was solid. Just didn't get the cards.
Yeah, I made one of those decks the other day, and it's pretty neat. Cubby, what'd you
It's
make?
really fun.
I made a green-black focused on creatures deck, and unfortunately, it turned into a green-black, and however many of those cards got shuffled into a deck because I was on the phone for the half an hour that we needed to make our decks. So instead, I just ran back, open packs, put all my green and black cards in one pile, and said these will work, and they did.
You make it sound like that's a bad thing.
You beat me.
Isn't
Yep.
that how it works? That's what I did.
Jake, what kind of deck did you make?
It was actually amazing. Went undefeated. Didn't lose
Yeah.
a single game.
It was
But
amazing.
I also didn't win any.
Yeah.
Like nothing I'd ever seen before.
I didn't
Yeah.
have a deck. If
Didn't you use the new color purple?
no, I actually used magenta.
Sorry.
Mm.
It's like all of the good things of blue and all the good things of every other color, and it's thrown in the garbage. So it's basically white.
Yeah. Yeah. So like it's
So it sounds like green.
that is green actually.
Like
Except
green.
green has all the good things of every color.
No, but thrown in the garbage.
Oh, fair.
Um,
Oh, Adam's turn.
I made a red, white, green equipment-based deck sort of thing. Mostly threw in the green for a space filler. So I only had 2 forests, 3 forests. The green part was a disaster. The rest of it worked pretty okay. That's about it. Average deck.
To be fair, the pretty okay deck also handily defeated me twice.
It's a little disrespectful. Just,
I played against it a couple of times, and it was pretty solid. But yeah,
That was round I kept drawing only green cards with no green lands.
that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, that'll happen. That's an ouch.
Also, I didn't know we could switch up decks midway through, so
I
I
still
didn't
don't
actually
know if you
edit the
can.
number of lands. Other people did. I wasn't sure.
Just because Nick does it does not mean it's a legal move.
What did I do?
Maybe you'd know if you weren't playing Lego Star Wars.
I'm not. I'm just not paying attention.
we actually aren't. It's fine.
Okay.
It's just in the background. It's not actually. We're not actually playing it right now.
I see. Apologies.
Pause.
It's
Taylor.
paused on Falcon
Yeah, I was just not paying attention.
like normal. You're
Anyways.
thinking other things.
Continue.
Well, I guess it's my turn. Honestly, I don't. So I did a red, blue, and black deck. I do not remember the cards that I made it off of, and it was not great, but it got me a win. So I'm not super angry about it, but hey, here I am.
Nice.
Yeah, I remember 2 things about your deck in it because I have the legendaries that 2 of the legendaries that you use against me in front of me, and that's the only thing I remember about it.
I also like counterspell a lot of your stuff.
Yeah.
Mm.
It's a power move.
So Graden, how's your deck?
Terrible. Thanks for asking again.
Nothing else to say?
Adventures in the Forgotten Realms is a very good set. But the cards I got from it in that booster or the draft box were in fact hot garbage.
I have a question. If you had gotten one more card, any card of your choice, do you think any of the cards in that set could have saved it? And what card would it be?
Delina Wild Mage.
Yes. Yeah.
That
He
card
was
is-
the card.
To those of you that don't know the rules, basically Delina, whenever you is it whenever you roll dice, or does
Whenever
she have her
she
own?
attacks, you choose target creature you control, and then you roll a d20. On a 1 through 14, you create a copy of that creature, tapped and attacking. And on a 15 through 20, you create a copy of that creature. You create that copy again, but then you roll again,
That's right.
which then allows for more copies and more copies.
As someone who played against the deck that he made with this card, Piece of shit.
You're just angry because you lost.
Hard.
Yeah.
I played against this deck and won even though I was supposed to lose, so I'll
Yes, he
take it.
did win. I pulled off an infinite combo, and he won from it.
We were up to 20 D20s being rolled at once, something like that.
Yes, and I was down to 0 cards in my library, thanks to
Yeah.
Ferda of Devil's Lot, or Devil's Chosen.
The Roper was like, what, 29, 27?
Yeah, he was big, because he had the Hand
Yes.
of Vecna on him.
Yeah.
Well, technically, he would have been if I had another combat step with him, because he adds your hand to his power at the beginning of combat until end of turn.
Yes, that's true. Nick, tell us about your deck.
Well, I actually had 2 decks at 2 different points. The first one was all the red and green cards that I pulled, because I got Targnar, who's a red and green, the only multicolored card that I drew. So I just took all my reds and all my greens and put them together. And it apparently was bad, because the only game I played with it, I lost. And that was against a rando. And then once I lost that game, I decided I'll make a new deck. So I put together a white-blue deck, which was again all of my blue cards and all of my white cards. And I beat Taylor and Cubby using that deck, which was pretty cool. It was a lot of normal blue-white stuff. Like it was some life gain and spells. I had a Demi-Lich, even though I never got to play it. Fly is good, Enchanted Sleep, all the good stuff.
Just saying, you against me was you won twice. I did manage 1 win off you. And the thing that killed me was the fact that I only had 1 card that could fight off flying, and almost all your creatures had flying.
That's why you were you quick tap. You're running green black. If you can't deal with creatures that fly, because none of your creatures have flying, you have black, and black is full of removal. Like Eyes of the Beholder was
It is.
an okay removal.
Mine was not, because I didn't draw any of those.
Yeah, I'm the one with the eyes of the beholder.
I know. I know.
Isn't it like -11, -11?
Yes.
Yes, it is for like 6 mana.
And
Is that on tutus?
yep, and honestly, watching people's reactions was priceless.
Yep.
Was it instant or sorcery?
Sorcery. I think.
I have it over there.
I have a bajillion cards right here. I'll find it in a second. It's an
Uh,
instant.
I have the Gatherer at my hands. It's an instant.
Yes.
Nice. Not terrible. I mean, not great because it's way too expensive, but workable.
Chris, what did you make?
I went into this thinking, all right, black is an easy color to work with. Black is a super powerful, color combination with anything. That's what I'm going to go with. First card I open is my box topper. It's the green-white Dritz Duerden. So I'm like, well, guess I'm throwing my original plan out the window. And I just cobbled together out of anything that heals and anything that's big a green-white deck. And it was... I don't know if it was good.
Beat my souped up dice roller deck.
It was okay. The problem was I went 2 matches without having an actual opponent. My opponent dropped out twice. And then in my 3rd game, I was up against someone who... I don't want to accuse anybody of cheating, but this individual had 2 Xanathars and the Grandmaster of Flowers and more that he managed to get in 6 packs.
It just so happened to have a booster box next to him.
Yeah. So I was like,
He played the commander too, didn't he? Like the rounds before us.
I
think he did,
think so,
actually.
yeah.
Wait, you guys played commander?
No,
No.
there was a... No, it wasn't Commander. They had another tourney for pre-release.
Yeah.
2 tourneys, the early day and then late night.
And they both turned into late night.
And the last person, I was like, it was like 11 o'clock by the time we were doing that match. And I lost the first one after it got pretty close. But I think he used Orcus and just kind of swiped the floor with me. So
Yeah.
I was just like, you
Yeah.
know what? You can have the second round. That's fine.
I want to leave.
Orcus is pretty awesome.
Yeah, it was card right here.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was personally, I think that while it was fun, we were there for 5
Long fucking time.
hours, 6 hours.
Way too long.
Too long.
Yeah.
We got there, like I said, right around 6 o'clock. We were the 7
Oh.
o'clock matches,
That's when you know it's late.
and
McDonald's.
we didn't start till 7:30, 8 o'clock, something like that, I think.
I was just opening packed.
Yep. Which meant we were in the car driving home around 12:30 at night on a Friday
Yep.
before 12 hours of
But-
D&D tomorrow.
Look, at least I got us food before
At least we were
McDonald's closed.
Yes.
all in the same boat, and we're all tired.
Except I didn't actually make it to D&D the next day until 8 that night.
Yeah.
Well, that was kind of pathetic.
Well, we weren't all in the same boat. Cough, cough, Jake.
Yeah.
I had work at 4 in the morning. I
That's
wanted
fair.
to be there.
I want to point out he did a hand motion that only I could see.
Of course. I think next time what we do is we say,
Taco.
well, I say we go and buy a booster box, split it amongst us, and do our own tournament. That way we're
Sounds
not
better.
stuck there for like 5 hours. It's not
With people
fighting
who
against
may or may not.
May or may not what?
I was just gonna say people who may or may not know the rules and or be lying about the rules.
Yeah.
Someone used minimus containment to turn one of Taylor's creatures into a treasure token, and then when she destroyed the enchantment that does that, he said that it was a new object on the battlefield because now it's a creature again.
Oh yeah,
Or it had summoning sickness.
Yeah, which is not how that worked.
And either way, I was only gonna hit him for 1 damage when he was at full. Like, I
Yeah,
don't understand.
That's how pro Magic players are. Point is, at least we all don't know the rules.
Yes, exactly. We we play in ignorance together. It's perfect.
Except for Graden.
He's still mostly ignorant. He's like 70% ignorant.
are we
maybe.
talking about me?
Or me. Both are valid on.
Both are very valid.
I mean, I know some of them. I know most of the rules.
Anyways.
I know like 2 keywords.
Did you guys know that damage causes loss of life? It's
I
important
did
to
know that actually.
Really?
Wait, is this a trick question?
I guess that only makes me 69% ignorant.
Nice.
Well, there you go. The more you know. Yeah, like I said before, we don't really need to go into too much detail about the new cards because everything everywhere is going to be talking about, oh, hey, what's
Oh.
your favorite card and why is it the Grand Master of throwing ninja stars at Santa?
Favorite
See?
or because I like dwarves.
Yeah. You cut out for most
mean-
of that, but sure.
Here's the
Brutal.
thing.
Just all you need to know is dwarves.
Here's the thing. Not everyone will be talking about the favorite cards in Adventures in Forgotten Realms because we are about a month late on that train.
That's fair.
Therefore, making this new and unique content.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Month?
This
No
is
one has ever thought of
Oh my
talking about something months after it was popular.
a stale retrospective. That's what we're providing here at the podcast that still has no name.
That could be the name.
Oh, you turned into a robot there, but that's fine.
We like robots.
Yeah, we do like robots.
Some of us more than others.
I actually I bought some more cards. My friends here know exactly how many boxes of cards I bought. But we're not going to talk about that.
I'd say a couple.
A couple, yeah. A couple is definitely one way to put it. But there's some fun cards in here. It feels a little on the light side as far as commons go. Like, I don't know, it feels like other sets, you get the same common, you get like a wider variety of commons. It feels like there's maybe like 30 or 40 in the entire set, and that when you're opening as many boxes as I am, it's like not a whole lot, but there's still some pretty
Doesn't
fun.
matter.
Well, here's the thing: were you buying Forgotten Realms boosters?
Yes.
Were you buying set or draft boosters?
This so I've opened I'm gonna say a combination of the two to protect how many cards I've bought. That information.
Yeah, what was it, like $490?
It was some amount of money that we're not gonna discuss on this podcast. But I'm just gonna segue real quick into a new card that I drew today because where is it? I can't even find the card. Fuck. We're past 1 minute. Fuck. I finally drew Xanathar today. I finally drew Froghemoth today. That's a fun one. These words mean nothing.
Xanathar is amazing. I'm glad I got one. I need to actually use him.
Yeah.
I don't have a Xanathar, but I do have a Froghemoth, and I agree they're pretty great.
I
Yeah, Xanathar's pretty OP.
yeah.
2 TM.
Xanathar just makes the game not fun for everyone else.
I don't think I have Xanathar. We like dwarfs. Dwarfs are cool.
Dwarves are cool. You know what else is cool?
What's cool, Chris?
Coming up with a name for this goddamn podcast. We still
Well,
don't have that.
We're not cool.
We have to find one that's not already used.
Yeah, let's. So, we're going to do a little segment here. We're going to try and figure out a name for this podcast. Live, not live. I guess kind of live on this podcast. We don't know what we're doing.
I think we should just call it the Freedom Force.
The Freedom Force?
Liberty Team.
Liberty
Liberty
I was
Team.
thinking the Legion Lounge.
The Legion Lounge?
Honestly, I think we just found it.
Yeah, let me check the SEO on that. Let me Google search that real quick.
We have to.
Yes. We need to make sure we are the top Google.
Oh
Adam has been
no.
thinking about this since like last week. I guarantee it.
What's the oh no, Chris?
It's
Oh, yeah, no. Legion Lounge is not going to work.
It's a
Okay.
Canadian bar and lounge. Established Augusta 20th, 2020. We just missed it by like a year.
No. They're a bunch of upstart hipsters. We can take them over.
No.
Yes.
We
Yeah.
don't want to fight
Then-
them. We want to show our soft bellies and choose a different name.
Like, they're just going to give us donuts.
Freedom
Right.
Force is very much already a thing.
Oh, it's Marvel? Really?
Mm.
Okay. What about the Liberty Team?
The Liberty Team?
Why?
Yeah. Because it's the Liberty Team.
That one's
Legend.
definitely taken.
Here we
Yes,
go.
the Liberty Team is taken. I
Uh,
think if we want any name, we're gonna have to go away from words that have anything to do with America, because everyone will have taken those names.
We're gonna have to go away from words that fit in the English language.
No,
Nothing is original. Everything is derivative.
that's true. Just like D&D characters.
Exactly.
Like Opal.
We don't talk about that, and it wasn't clerical.
Also, somebody needs to get closer to the mic there, Mr. Smith.
He's yelling across the room because he's making hot chocolate.
Because he refuses to sit still, like Graden.
You
Sit
put
still.
pasta sauce into your hot chocolate?
Pasta sauce?
do I not?
Stop. Please.
Oh, it's nutmeg, I hope.
We're trying to think of the name, guys.
Yeah, we need to figure this out.
Mm,
Did anybody hear my suggestion?
no, you were making hot chocolate. Wait, no, I did hear it. Don't repeat it, please.
Unfortunately, we did hear it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
I
have
don't
to.
remember. What was
There's a reason he didn't write it down in the chat.
I didn't hear it. But I may need to edit it out of the podcast later, so I'll just have to keep an eye out for that.
it? Hey,
Yeah,
for
you're gonna
one
want-
time we were sitting on a couch together and we were playing.
Oh, that
two...
that one. Yeah, I heard that one. Yeah,
Okay.
I named the podcasting channel after it.
Nice.
Yeah.
I did not get that.
I
Yep.
got that. You're bad.
Taylor, I'm kind of slow.
Oh.
The good news is, pasta sauce and hot chocolate is not taken. That being said, I don't think we should name the
That'd be a great
podcast
name.
that. I don't
I
think
don't
we
see
should
what-
take that.
Pasta sauce in hot chocolate.
No, there's a reason when you search that, it's not a thing.
Well, it's because anyone who thinks to do that has probably been executed by the state,
No, by the Italians
by the Italian state.
from Polar Express, the conductor.
This podcast is now wanted in Italy.
Oh, we haven't finished Sopranos yet.
Oh gosh.
From the last season.
We cannot talk about The Sopranos when we're trying to figure out a name for the podcast.
I don't see why not.
Recap of the realms.
That's pretty good. I'll write that one
Strawhead?
down.
Okay, put on the board.
I'm
Recap
checking
of
one
the
right now.
I mean, realm recap would be pretty good. Just shorten it.
Seems kind of derivative, but okay.
I don't know what that word means.
Unfortunately,
Big enough man to admit it.
Unfortunately, Nick, Tony Soprano playing D&D is also more or less taken, so we're not doing that one either.
Oh, I can't make that joke, can I?
Probably not.
I can edit it out, but I need to
No.
write down the time if it's bad.
No, it's not terrible, but
It's not politically correct, if you get my drift.
I
It's just
said
a-
so.
So, recap of the realms is the realm recap is taken by Yak Face.
I think we can compete with the act phase.
We can take them over.
They have
My problem is we haven't going to go to campaign 3. If it's
We
only like-
rename it. Hey,
we have to
Why don't we
rename the
just call it Nerds in
podcast.
Basement?
Because I guarantee Nerds in a Basement is taken.
that is literally the oldest joke.
Dorks in a dungeon.
Cubby, you're just using, like,
I'm pretty sure this is already used, but Dungeon Dumbasses is pretty decent.
Yeah.
Dorks and Dungeons
But
is
that's
probably-
taken.
Dorks and Dungeons.
Well, I know Dungeons and Daddies is, but
we are not all daddies, thank you.
Why don't we just name ourselves Critical?
Really, we're gonna stop.
Good idea.
It's just a commitment.
because then Matt Mercer will show up with foam noodles and chuck them at our heads.
What?
I've just
Oh.
been told. I've just been told by the podcast police that I'm not allowed to name other podcasts. So we're just gonna have to ignore that I said that. They said you guys are fine, but they said they're keeping an eye on me. So
Ah,
it's very sad. I'm under house arrest by the podcast police. Send help.
It's a good thing we do D&D at your house, so
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
you'll be fine.
It'll be great.
When was the last time Nick left that house?
Probably about 4 months.
Pre-release.
Is that left? I haven't had a car in a while.
Was the last time you left your house pre-release?
And when you
Yeah,
have
last
no
week,
reason, when you have no reason to leave,
I also don't have a means to leave. My
That's
car's
true.
here. I don't have my car.
Oh,
Right
yeah.
now. I
hey,
can't. I'm stuck here.
no. Naming a podcast, not judging Nick
Yeah.
and his living capabilities, okay?
They're low.
That being
Alright,
said,
podcast day.
how about Forgotten Friends?
Oof.
And with Forgotten Realms, and we're all friends.
That's not our domain.
so
Forgotten Realms is something else.
Nick doesn't have a car. Not taken. So
Ooh.
I'll put that one on the board.
Do it.
I'm not naming the podcast after Nick unless I have to.
The actual
Only
letter.
to make fun of him.
Yep.
It'll go to his head.
Let's call it the Billy Brigade.
This is the most difficult part of anything.
Well, yeah.
Okay,
think of a-
Chris,
That's why we're doing this in episode 1. Imagine if we got to like episode 3 of the podcast and we still hadn't finished the name section. That would have been a
Why,
problem.
Every campaign we play.
We could just be Von Dorsal and the fam.
That is valid.
It
Chris.
sounds more like a band.
Chris, I happened to realize that you didn't put Billy Brigade on the board there.
Oh, gee, I wonder why that is. Oh, I'll add it right away.
He's typing.
The Nerd Network.
That's probably taken.
Guaranteed.
Let's find out. It comes up in recommended. Yeah, it's taken.
Yeah, that's very.
When it
Extra.
autocomplete,
They're
you know you're screwed.
they're also a podcast.
Of course they are. Everyone's a podcast now.
It's all right. So are we. It's
So
fine.
much free publicity we're giving to people.
Yeah.
We need to do something super specific.
We could just get like a one-word thing. That'd be great. I mean, we don't have the capability to do that. But
It's going to be taken.
Okay, what if, now hear me out, we take the first letter from each of our names,
It's-
or our characters'
no.
names,
Oh,
either
no.
way, and we
Let's.
make them into a name.
That's a great idea.
So
how
he-
many people's names start with a vowel? O?
none of you. None of you.
It's only Arc. Yep.
Only Ark.
Adam, if
Mm.
you want to call Cara Ar, you can.
Or you could use a real fucking name.
No.
We can name it the
Yeah.
Cara Crew.
The Cara crew?
Like, same problem. It's the same
it
problem.
also-
It's the same answer. Only Adam.
Yeah, everything's like already taken.
I know this
is
doesn't.
so-
I know this doesn't fit for everybody here, but Sprocket Dice is not taken.
Ooh.
Do it.
But we started.
That is that is certainly a choice.
Sorry, Jake, but
Listen,
That's like
if I
half.
could have been there, I would have been there. It's
dude,
such
we would have taken you over any day.
Honestly.
I would have taken a dead fish over.
worth it.
We should.
Mm.
I'm gonna have to bleep all these names out
Oh, yeah.
just to be safe.
What?
Well, that's
More things I have to bleep out.
Maybe we should just bark every time Cubby talks.
I know. Okay.
Was he talking about me or
You stop saying his name.
Whose name?
Stop. Anybody who's not currently involved and we can check, hey, is this okay? That isn't someone that we don't care if we make fun of because it won't get back to them.
If we
Is a
believe it,
no-go.
can we reveal the deepest, darkest secret? Yeah.
I'm marking this timestamp down.
I think Sprocket Dice is
Yeah, he must have figured it out by now.
No need to
Maybe.
dwell on it.
Back on the thing they said before, the inside joke.
oh
And just
So
make
for a name for this, I think Sprocket Dice is actually a good idea.
I mean
Anybody else agree?
I
Oh,
think
of you
we
guys.
can derive it into something like one word
Sprice?
with ology in it.
But
Diceology?
realmology?
Something like that.
Diceology sounds cool.
I think Diceology is taken.
Do I still have
Well,
the
we're looking it up.
Google.
do I still have the do we still have Sprocketology?
It is already a thing. It's a podcast.
Sprocketology or Diceology? Because I know Diceology. Oh, no, I'm not supposed to talk about them. That's right, the podcast
Yeah.
police. I'm very sorry.
Legally distinct Diceology.
Sprocketology is nothing else
Sprocket.
besides what it already was before.
Yeah, I mean the YouTube account still exists, but honestly, I might be able to hack into that and like take it through.
Am I dumb? How do you spell sprocket?
Sprocket.
Okay.
And
Oh.
Ology.
I found a few-
Polyhedron.
Yeah,
Like
I'm an
that.
admin on the Facebook for Sprocket for some reason.
That just
Well, now
makes it so-
I'm not going to get into this right now, but I'm just noticing that Sprocketology has a few pictures. None of us are in any of them. So that's neat.
Good.
It's all people
Was it-
before
I
us.
think he's talking about.
DJ?
Uh-oh.
It still has that damn interview that Taylor had us do.
Yes, it does.
It does?
God, no.
Yeah.
Yeah, I watched it the other day.
It's too bad the bloopers got taken down, but we're good
No,
enough.
the bloopers were never like public to begin with. I just sent you all the link. I have to go back onto the Sprocketology like YouTube account to get the bloopers back.
I see.
Because they're private.
Look at these pictures.
I think I only appear in the bloopers.
I think
you,
so,
yeah. Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
All right. So, let's
This tower on the big one.
Yeah, that's the point of being tall.
It must be nice.
It is. It's very nice.
It's terrible.
No, it's great.
I'm average height.
Keep telling yourself that.
so
Average height. So
we got a couple of names
I
here.
mean, you say that, but he can like end you in 2 seconds.
But he's shorter. That's the point.
Oh.
Yes,
Huh?
Cubby can kill him at any time he wants, but he's shorter than him.
What's
That's all that matters.
No, Cubby, shush. We're trying to do podcast related things.
bullshit. What'd you say?
No, stop.
He's shorter than us.
Yes.
That's it. That's all I say.
That's
Oh,
the
okay.
joke.
Yeah, that's the entire joke.
Does
I thought you
anybody
said something.
does anybody else have any ideas for names?
Graden had one.
No.
I don't think a one-word thing is the best.
Feasible.
I said realmology because he said something with ology, so I kind of came up with that. I have no idea
Realmology.
if that's taken.
What about dungeonology?
That I guarantee that's taken.
Realmology
100%.
is taken a few times over.
Why has it got to be ology?
I
What's
don't know. Graden gave me an idea, and I'm rolling with it.
what was the other one besides realmology? The other ology?
Dungeonology is a thing.
100% already a thing.
I think it's a board game.
It's a book.
Board game?
It is a book.
It's a D&D book at least.
Yeah, it's a D&D book.
Dude, I kind of want to buy that.
Well, we may not have come up with a name, but we have added dungeonology to Cubby's shopping cart.
I'm still voting for pasta sauce and hot chocolate.
No, Cubby.
Dungeon.
I kind of like Cubby's idea, to be honest.
No.
Nick.
Love you, Nick.
It's been vetoed anyway, so it doesn't matter.
So,
If it's
I love the uncomfortable laugh that you did after I said that.
is there any other suggestions for names before we get down to the meat and
Light
potatoes?
of our sorrows.
I mean, we could.
Because there's a whole lot of sorrow.
what did Jake say?
Yes.
Light of our sorrows. It is taken.
So, I think
Hey, what about Gwellentia Gathers?
Ooh.
Ooh.
that's definitely not
I
taken.
made the name Gwellentia, so that should.
Again, though, campaign 3 we're specifically not in Gwellentia.
Okay, but it was in our first campaign.
Hey, guess what, Nick?
What?
Remember how you were talking about how we're moving on to campaign 3? We gotta change the name. We won't have to.
If we just name it after one of the most prominent cities in our original campaign,
It's a continent.
continent. I'm smart. I came up with a name.
Actually, to be fair, campaign 2 also more or less exists on Gwellentia, so
Yeah.
you know, it does
shut up,
work
Mike.
still.
And campaign 3 will exist on it too.
Or
Campaign,
near
no,
it.
campaign 3 will exist near it, but this is a different discussion.
Gwellentia Gathers, yeah.
Sure.
So, do we need to? I mean, every name except for the last 3 on that list, we don't need to worry about, right? We're down to
Well,
Sprock.
Have a car is pretty good.
Nick doesn't have a car is pretty good. but
Can we just
Yeah,
name that
we don't
this
need it.
episode's name?
That should be the name of the episode.
I'm up for that.
insert title here.
Ben Dorsal stole Nick's car.
Now
For his
that
family.
cheese right there.
That will be the name of episode 2.
Oh,
There we go. So we got Sprocket Dice, Sprocketology, and Gwellentia Gathers. I think we're down to those 3.
I really like Gwellentia Gathers.
It's
Yeah,
No,
I just don't like that Cubby came up with it.
That's yeah. There's
Agree.
also
it's fine.
Do we need to do a vote, or are we good with Gwellentia Gathers so long as we just slightly forget that Cubby Nick came up with a name?
He,
I feel like we need to take out the penny jar if you guys are gonna keep teasing me.
all I know is that Cubby will never let us forget that because he's gonna be so proud of himself.
Let
Because
me be proud of one thing.
yeah. Let's give it to him. Like
We have enough things that we can remind him to put him in his place.
That's
we-
fair.
Do we need
like
a vote?
adding +3.
Hey, Cubby, check this out. My shoulder works.
Karen doesn't have a V.
Do we need a
The
vote?
session starts-
We're not voting. Gwellentia Gathers wins. That's the name of the that's the name of the podcast.
Yay!
Woo!
Good
Woohoo!
input, Adam.
Yay!
There we go. Finally, after 20 minutes.
Oh boy,
What a money binder.
we are so efficient.
We are so efficient, but that's okay. This is episode 1. We're still figuring stuff out.
I feel like this should be an episode 0.
Yeah. Well, isn't how that's how it normally works, right?
Hey, Cubby.
Hmm.
Do you spell damn with a B?
Oh no.
No.
Don't we can't get into it.
Why not?
In the same sentence, he was bragging about naming the podcast.
We got the name. Do we want to? Does anyone else have anything to say about pre-release, or magic cards, or anything in that section?
Does anyone have anything to say about magic cards? Why, yes, I do.
Graden,
Boy, that you made a mistake.
Hey,
You-
we can mute them.
You have
Yeah,
one.
Right click on them.
No. I want to hear this. You have one sentence.
ooh,
Gonna be around.
Mute them like
guaranteed.
you-
He's charging his power.
No, not them. I want to hear what they're gonna say.
He's just like looking down at his arm, trying to like figure out the right words.
He's looking for the answer. He'll get it.
He's getting the correct words.
He's
Goblin
25.
Answer is one of the best comments to be printed in the recent years.
Missed the start of that.
Is that the green card you're talking about?
I had one sentence. We're moving on now.
That's it.
Beautiful.
That's all we get. So we're gonna move right on to the next section, which is just a really in-depth recap of our campaign that we've been, like I said at the beginning, we've spent over 2 years on at this point. And we're gonna start because there's a lot to cover. There is a lot to cover. With a bit of the just background story and characters. So, just to give a little bit of a preface, our adventures take place in the world of the Ward and the Nine Realms, in a land that has been overtaken by this strange fey magic known as the Fey Reach. It is about 1,200 years in the future from when our previous campaign took place, which means everything is supposed to be much more advanced. Technology should obviously be more powerful, but in this situation with this strange corruption of the material plane by the Feywild, everything is kind of slowed to a halt, and everything is stuck in this weird sort of limbo. And our story takes place in the small mountain town of Gale Peak, with a small group of adventurers Their names are.
There's Cara Woodsman, the Furbolg Druid Barbarian, who grew up in the Crancher clan.
There's Jean, the Drow Bard Draconic Sorcerer, who grew up in a city.
Then there's Kalzun, a rogue ranger that grew up with some cool satyrs. Oh, he's also a wood elf, or maybe
Mittens, Tabaxi, noble, divine soul sorcerer who is trying to spread his family's influence throughout the mainland.
We got Philary, a cursed tiefling who's just trying to go back to her ancestors and get more in touch with them and not be a tiefling. And a barbarian.
There's Rodrum, an edgy blood elf rogue fighter who is not a very good person and likes to kill people.
And we have a whole lot of other player characters that were there for the first session and have been there since. We have Ruffy Lee Xarcsvoror, the Canii fighter cleric paladin. We have Equitum, the Asamar paladin. We have Esper, the high elf wizard. He was there for like a session.
I guess.
We have Gib'duil, the half elf trickery domain cleric. Is that?
Follows a loyalty god.
Yep. Yeah, we'll cover that in full. Is there anyone else that I'm
I
forgetting?
feel like before we go too far, you should explain what Canii is.
That's fair. That's fair. Because the other one, Blood Elf, I'll need to explain too.
Ruffy Lee is quite a big character.
Yes. But I just wanted to make sure. Are there any other characters that I'm forgetting about? There's a lot of you, so I forget sometimes.
Ones that haven't been introduced yet? No.
Yeah. So later on, we'll also be meeting William Kidsley, the Satyr Archfey Warlock, and Arlen Renan Craftswin, the High Elf Artificer Alchemist. But they come in later in our story, so we don't need to worry about them right now. First things first. This is I'm going to start right off because we play a very homebrew heavy game. I think
No.
I think it's fair to say a lot of our game is pretty heavily homebrewed.
Basically, if there's a rule you hear or something that sounds different, because it probably is, don't worry about it. It's how it goes.
Yeah, our rules, our settings, our everything is gonna vary in some way, shape, or form. So don't worry, it's not like we don't know the rules. We very much know the rules. We just take the rules in our own direction because it's a game. We can make up whatever we want. That's the
I
secret.
don't know what you're talking about. I don't know any rules.
You've opened up Pandora's box.
Cubby, recite the carry weight rules.
I have not read the Dungeon Master's Guide for any of the editions we've played. It's fine. But yeah, so basically, what I need to cover very quickly is as part of that, Blood Elves and Canii were both mentioned in our little introductions there. Blood Elves are basically a weird type of high elf in a lot of ways. They're a different subspecies of elf, not like a curse on normal elves. But they basically have this weird, like, feral ferocity to them. Canii are, to put things bluntly, dog people. And they're very cool. Yeah, right, what you just heard there, that weird barking noise, there you go. That's probably a Canii. I don't know if that'll pick up on OBS or not. Probably.
Here's something.
Yeah. But the first thing I want to cover as we're going through this is what inspired you guys to make these characters, these first characters here? What was like the driving force that made these characters? Whoever wants to go first. There's a lot of thinking with this one. I know we're not good with thinking, but we can try.
Because mine is kind of simple as to why I went the way I did. In our first campaign, I played a cleric fighter who, because of his god, became lawful good and always wanted to do the right thing and was kind of didn't really have too much fun with that sort of stuff. So for this campaign, I decided to play the opposite of that.
Didn't he die 4 times?
That's besides the point. Anyway, I decided to go with the edgiest choice possible. Very old, very angry, very murder killy elf who didn't care about gods or magic and enjoyed stabbing things.
Don't forget to mention the pure salt at leaving first edition.
Oh yeah, I was kind of biased towards first edition, which is kind of stupid now. And I was angry that we were going into 5th edition. So I wanted to be something simple. I went with rogue fighter who had high strength, which was not a great choice.
He had high strength.
Relatively high strength, yeah. His stats were all over the place.
Wisdom, though.
Wisdom was terrible, and charisma.
Low wisdom, huh?
Yeah.
Interesting.
That will come up later.
This will come up many times in our adventures.
Yeah.
Even with high wisdom, it's just
That's me. That's the difference.
yeah.
Who's next? Anyone else want to share about their making of characters?
I'll go next because the making of my character was very not. There was like nothing behind it. Basically, Cubby and Gib were like, "Hey, a rogue ranger is a great combo. You should do it." So I was like, "Okay." So I did it, and then created
Found out we were joking.
my whole backstory on a 1-hour drive, which isn't. There's not much backstory, and it's a classic rogue sad backstory, but not that sad. Not as edgy as it could have been.
Not as edgy as Rodrum.
I'm proud of that. Ranger hurts sometimes, but then sometimes it hurts the DM.
This is true.
Did you make that backstory on the way to camp?
No.
Oh, this is when you had to go down and pick her up in Presque Isle, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Context our audience will never know, and let's keep it that way. Screw the
I don't
audience.
even
know the context.
Yeah, neither do I.
Frankly, I don't care.
That's actually news. I kind of figured you had the elf syndrome. That's why I figured you played Kalzun.
I do like elves as a whole. Like in any fantasy universe, elves are pretty cool. And I live in the middle of nowhere, so woods ranger stuff is cool too. And I like bows. He's really good with the bow.
He's very good with a bow.
You can go next. I went to 5e and I wanted to be a bard. And then I realized that the high level abilities for bard were terrible. So I was like, I only want to be part bard. And so I looked for something that went really nice with bard. And then I found sorcerer. And I thought it was amazing. I was wrong. But it's worked out so far.
Yeah, because you got a weird homebrew sorcerer.
Don't worry about it. It's almost a real class.
Almost. I did not know that Sorcerer came second. I thought you wanted to do Sorcerer first and Bard evolved as part of it. I don't know why, but...
my favorite class going into D&D because I just loved the flavor of it. And that they're super cool and helpful to the team. And then I realized we had a Divine Soul Sorcerer, and I was like, oh, okay, a healer. And then we had a cleric, and I was like, oh, look, another healer. So I was like, I don't need to be a healer. I can do something cool. So I decided I'm going to be a DPS character. And and it hasn't gone well.
You're good AC tank though.
I don't know. You're great at killing party members.
I've never killed a party member.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
Yeah, canonical.
Different universe too.
I can go. Mittens was originally supposed to be a way different character, but with the campaign setting and Tabaxis being nobles in this world, I changed it up to fit the campaign setting. So he ended up being a noble. As for Sorcerer, Divine Soul Sorcerer, I was originally feeling a healer, just I wasn't a healer in the first game, and I felt like it would be nice for the party to have a full designated healer. And
Yeah, I feel bad about
that's
that one.
pretty much it.
There were a lot of
It's
things.
perfectly fine.
There was a lot of backstory stuff, a lot of extra mechanics at play that kind of definitely messed with a couple of people. Mittens and Rodrum especially were messed with in the first few sessions, but we'll get to that.
Yep.
Kalzun fit right in.
Yeah,
Yeah, he was there for the first few sessions.
Yeah,
It's not like you joined partway
I
through.
I totally didn't join at level 8.
Cara and Philary, you two.
Go.
I guess I can go. Cara Woodsman I came up with while skipping my psychology class in college. I wanted in campaign 1 I played a monk, which if anybody's ever played a first edition monk, I feel
No.
really bad for you because it's terrible. However, because we play a lot of homebrew, it actually came out pretty good. But this time I wanted to do something. My original idea for Cara was a healer that can take a lot of hits. And then we had a bunch of healers, so I decided I'm just going to be able to take a lot of hits. And that's what I did, which is how he ended up being a barbarian of the bear totem and a moon druid. And I realized that everyone listening to this just went, "You dumbass." And yes, I am. So it's very hard to bring him down. When he does, everyone's like, "Oh shit." But he doesn't do that much damage. So, and as far as his personality goes, there's some of it.
He does okay damage. Well,
He doesn't
now,
do
Yeah, and then you realize how good it feels to do a big hit, and you're like,
yeah, and then he goes, and then you're like, oh, well,
Yeah, I feel
We'll,
bad.
tried.
we'll get to Lee. We'll get to Lee in a little bit because there are two things I want to discuss with Lee. It's kind of a shame Dylan's not here for me to interrogate him on something, but maybe you guys know the answer.
I
but
can try and get him.
interrogate.
possibly. Philary,
a cameo.
let's hear about Philary.
Okay. So unlike Cubby, I actually came up with my character idea for a class. So I was in a poetry class in high school, and I decided that writing about a D&D character would be really cool. And then I ended up playing said D&D character. I wrote this entire poem about a soldier who just wants to bring honor back to her name, which ended up becoming Philary. However, in that poem, she was a wood elf originally, but I was scrolling through the player's handbook looking at races, and I was like, you know what? A lot like Jake, I have always played an elf. Let's mix it up and do a tiefling, but then that kind of didn't work with my backstory of being related to a wood elf from the first campaign. So, made up some type of curse that,
You only have 2 elves.
yeah,
Literally gave you all of the idea for that. What it was.
yeah. So that's how that happened.
Perfect. That is
Philary has a very short temper.
Who
She's
does?
a barbarian.
Philary.
Oh yes, of course.
Like 5 sessions ended with her starting a encounter. All of them were quite terrifying. but it all worked out.
We all survived those, probably. I don't remember.
The
Yeah.
party kind of had a, especially for a long time, you guys had a knack for getting into fights, so you definitely probably shouldn't be in. But
No.
I mean,
We're so strong.
I can't fathom what you're talking about.
You
Well-
mean jumping through a ceiling into a thing of werebears was not a good idea?
fighting a mini boss while being bunched up, and we'll get to all that. But
You Wilfagorst?
No.
No?
The Dryad.
Oh.
You know, the murderator.
I think so.
Don't spoil that. We're about to talk about that.
Yeah, we're on our way towards that. But I think taking a look at the characters that you guys kind of started with and where they've like gotten to now is kind of interesting, because you guys were all more or less pretty had pretty straightforward backstories, had some minor stuff that to kind of like add some flavor to them. And I think every single one of you over time, for your characters, whether they be the ones that you ended up playing as or the ones that you were playing as from the beginning, I think it was interesting to see you guys kind of like adapt that and increase their amount of presence they had in the world, which was interesting. Which, to be fair, is partially my fault, since I, like I said before, did not give a lot of the backstory up on the world very easily. But one thing that I wanted to talk about is setting up this world was very interesting, because the previous campaigns that I had DM'd in the past were all kind of by the seat of my pants. It was the first campaign I DM'd was, oh, I have a bunch of friends, we get together once a month and play. I guess I can cobble together a story to fit like the multiple days of being asleep and awake and partially playing that we go through. And then with our first campaign, like the group of us,
We started after school.
yeah, that was like an after school, like out of our clubs kind of like, well, what do we do now? I guess we'll play D&D and see how far that goes. So that one
Sucked us right into the black hole.
that went from like a
was-
6-session side quest to, was that one 2 years? Was that 2 years, that campaign?
I think so, yeah.
Including hiatus, 2 years.
Yeah. Yeah, so that was also a long campaign, but again, all like pretty much improv'd on the spot. So with this campaign, I was like, you know what? I'm going to be smart. I'm going to plan out things for the world and have it mainly be focused around these characters and their stories rather than making this overarching plot. And I was like, okay, I'll make it like a harsh, difficult world, you know, because the Fae has taken everything over, and it's hard to survive, and it's hard to, you know, get your bearings, and you all have to work together as a adventuring party to survive. And then session 1, you all meet in a tavern, because that's the way to do it, on a cold night. Everyone's going around and introducing their characters and their voices, and
Except me.
yeah, except for Jake, who had not joined us just yet. But a couple of you start with voices and stuff and started like getting into character, and was like, okay, this is awesome. My friends are not professional voice actors. They haven't been playing for years. A lot of you were pretty new to the game even then at the beginning of the campaign. And obviously, we were all pretty new to 5th edition. So, like, we were all trying to get our footing, and so it was fun to see you guys like start to get into that. And then Lee begins speaking. He introduces his character.
Quote. The Lee quote came from his mouth.
Who's saying it?
I was gonna say it.
Well, I was
I-
waiting. Adam, did
I
you?
feel I
is-
feel like it should be pressed.
Sorry.
Would you like me to get him? I can.
If he's right there, yeah,
Give
let's
me a
get him.
moment.
Gotta get the-
Yeah.
Yeah, when you guys started this campaign, I still thought D&D was like too nerdy for me.
Boy, were you wrong.
Yeah, and
You
then-
were playing freaking Edge of the Empire. Shut up.
no, that was right around the same time, but like before that,
Wait, Adam's
like-
back.
He is busy right now.
He is
Maybe
busy.
on another show we can try and get him.
Yeah. But anyway, who wants to take on the impression of Lee?
I think Chris does the best job out of all of us.
All right,
Other than
I'll do what I can. All right, here's what we'll do. I'll do my impression, and then we all do a Lee impression at once, and just break my computer. Ready? So, Lee is this 6 foot tall, 15 strength, 15 constitution, like 17 dexterity character, a very big dude, who is, up until this point been quiet at the table, covered in weapons, decked out in armor, has this serious look about him. And he begins talking. Lee says to the group, "Hey guys, it's me, Lee. How can I help you today? I'm a Cania. I like to fight things. I used to be a gladiator. I used to go around and punch stuff in the face. I don't know what kind of weapons I like. My best friend is dead, and it's terrible. Everything is sad, and my wife is dead."
That was pretty good. That's pretty much Lee.
So
Lee.
that's the first thing that I heard, and I was like, everything I have planned, I might as well throw away. Because it was like, I wasn't angry. I was so shocked that the campaign was so quickly not going to go in the direction they thought it was going in.
But it's
just left turn after
Yeah.
left turn. That's consistent.
Taking enough left turns, you end up on the same road.
You know?
That's how circles work. That's a square. Circles. Basically, the takeaway from this story is the best sentence to say ever is, "Hey guys, I'm Lee."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey guys, it's me.
I was gonna do a
Right.
countdown, but I realized the latency is gonna be messed up, and we're not gonna be on schedule
No.
able
So I
to say
think
at
we
the
just
same
do it
time.
all randomly together.
Yeah, 3, 2, 1. Hey
Hey,
guys,
guys.
it's me.
guys.
It's me.
It's me,
Lee.
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 It worked out so well.
That
Yeah.
was amazing.
Masterpiece.
I want to point out, the
Separately.
3 people sitting on the same couch together were still out of sync.
I did it on purpose.
Sounds about right.
Jake and I were perfect.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's just
Good
us
for
being
you.
perfect or just that line's so easy to.
Yeah, you guys are just not as good as us.
Yeah.
Wow.
Rogues are just better.
Yeah.
Never thought of it that way.
Let's
Hey,
talk.
Nick, tell us how rogues are better.
What?
Tell us how rogues are better.
Better yet, one lived longer than 2 days.
They
Yeah.
never die.
Let's
Uh,
talk.
Stab real good.
Let's talk about the beginning of the campaign, shall we? But I think the best place to start with the campaign is immediately. The Cool Rock is not quite it. But the whole
in Gale Peak.
the whole overarching theme is that the Fae is this powerful force that is invading the material plane. So the first couple of encounters were a combination of fights with these powerful Fae, so like direwolves immediately attacking the inn, a powerful dryad that controlled the surrounding area and a whole lot of magic, as well as a lot of just more dangerous encounters to set the mood of like, okay, my initial intentions were, okay, this is your lesson that you cannot fight everything. That lesson was never followed, ever. And there will be some prime examples of when that lesson maybe should have been followed and never was. But
What are we, the fridge?
Can we point out the fact that we were in a world and we're all meeting each other, and none of them saw anything wrong with the fact that one of their party members was a Fae worshipper?
yes, this is true. So Furbolgs are in this kind of strange situation where, because they are Fae adjacent, they're basically seen as Fae. So this party that was, trying to make their way through the world, one of their main members is this definitely, at least partially Fey person who also channels a bunch of Fey magic. So,
May I describe Cara?
of course.
Well, he's also harmless, so
A wonderfully kind-looking man that just happens to be 8'9", wielding an 11-foot hammer that has terrible charisma and wears a mask of one of his old companions' skull. So great to talk to with whole 9 charisma.
he loves to be your friend.
He
Yeah.
loves to talk
His
first.
name means friend.
No one else make the persuasion rolls.
Nick, I swear to God, if you do not speak up, enunciate, and talk into the microphone,
I'm trying.
no, you're not.
I'm far away.
Anyways, so basically, this duality of, hey, this is the dangerous creatures that you're going to be facing, and this is the force that's causing all of this to happen. That was kind of the idea between the first initial encounters, which was like a whole nest of onkegs that you guys had to fight through. Gigantic caterpillars, strange organizations of bandits with weird traps. This also caused the party to get into this weird situation where everyone was still trying to figure out what their character does and who their characters were. So, for instance, with Lee, for instance, he didn't know what weapons he was supposed to be using until like 2 or 3 sessions in, because he was using all this strength stuff and his dexterity was way higher. And then obviously we had some issues between Philary and Rodrum. One of them being a need to do good, and the other being Rodrum.
Murder of
An asshole.
all of the above. Yes.
Yeah. So that this kind of set the scene of, hey, these guys are idiots, and they're probably going to get themselves killed, but maybe they'll be strong enough and smart enough to figure things out, when things get dangerous.
Our intelligent party member had not joined us yet.
This is true. Esper, the high elf wizard, had not been there for a session, and the smartest character in the party was coming in a couple of sessions. But let's get to session, because our sessions are 12 hours long. We play D&D for a long time on Saturdays. And personally, I wouldn't have it any other way. But session 2, about halfway through, this party of adventurers, still trying to figure out who they are and what they're doing, and how to survive in this world, are attacked by a number of direwolves and this powerful dryad, wielding a lot of magics. That was attacking outside of town, so they went out into the dark, cold night with everything they had to try and fight her. I want to start by mentioning the fact that I had totally planned for this to be you do enough damage to this person, they're eventually going to back off because they're like, this isn't worth the trouble. Anyone else want to talk about what happened?
I want to point out one thing that I was talking about before this podcast started.
Mm-hmm.
Is that first fight against the Dryad was a master class of putting us in our place, and was honestly one of the best scripted, non-scripted fights I've ever seen in my life, because it immediately taught us that we are not our old characters anymore, and we are not invincible.
I think I can take point on this combat, kind of.
Please do.
Explain how we aren't invincible, Nick.
So, Rodrum, being a murder-kill happy rogue, also being a blood elf, which means they can't leave combat willingly, which is part of what they do, he immediately went to the front lines and used his sword to stab things, like right up to the Dryad, right up to the direwolves, and was, attacking, doing damage. And then we all kind of clustered up, the melee people, and then she started using magic. Magic that really didn't work well with Rodrum.
Yeah, so about this whole Fae thing, the bush that I've been beating around for the past 30 minutes or so is the fact that the Feywild basically ate the weave, the whole force of magic for everything. Which means that whenever anyone tries to use magic, they are taking on a part of that corruption themselves. It's damaging to them. Sometimes it provides benefits, but most of the time it's just a doom counter. When you reach every spell level you cast is a pip of corruption, basically. And once you reach 40, you are in an extremely dangerous position where there is so much corruption in your body, you have to try and use your own magical capability to resist it. This situation, combined with the fact that this powerful fey creature could basically spew corruption at her foes, meant that the people in the front lines very quickly got a lot of corruption.
Yeah, and considering none of us were ranged fighters yet, that was all of us.
Yeah. So basically, what ended up happening was Rodrum, I just noticed Nick in Discord has removed Rodrum's name from his little list there. Rodrum was slain in the fight. He took on too much corruption, and his body was turned into plant matter and just fell apart to pieces in front of the Dryad. The party...
Turns out you can't press a DC that's over 20 if you have a minus to your wisdom, which is the stat I had to roll for the saving throw.
Yeah. Rodrum, unfortunately, was in a very bad situation where it was time to be permadead halfway through the second session.
It's not like when you die to the corruption, you can't be revivified or raised dead or anything. Your body is like obliterated and your soul is torn away. Like even like true resurrection just doesn't work.
Even wish doesn't work, right?
Yeah, it's real power. Well, I don't know about wish. Wish is kind of strong. We haven't tried it. I don't know if Chris has said. Anyway,
We shouldn't try it.
we were level 2 anyway. Something 2.
We were
3.
level 3.
Level 3. We didn't have access to revivify, much less wish. Rodrum died and was permadead. 2.5 sessions into the campaign, my character was out of the campaign.
And it was the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life.
It was beautiful because no one liked him.
Well, you guys were mean to him unnecessarily. He was kind of trying to be a good person, not very well, but
Bullshit.
he's the one that made you go back and fight instead of letting the town be destroyed. Forgot about that, didn't you?
No, we didn't forget about it because you bring it up every time.
I know. And since he can't lord it over you, I have to.
He's also the one that tried to keep a street fight going just for his own amusement.
Yeah, I also tried to stop you from getting in the middle of it and getting arrested, and then you got us arrested.
The point is that Rodrum, for better or worse, was
dead.
now dead. No coming back. Nothing the party could do. It was in the first session and a half, the party was in a situation where they had just lost a member and there was no fighting for them further. They had to surrender to the Dryad, which essentially ended in more or less a stalemate because they had, at the very least, held her off long enough that attacking the town wasn't feasible anymore. Which totally was not the DM pulling punches and saying, you know, one character death is enough for today. Let's just move right along, shall we? Totally wasn't that. It was the Dryad was held off long enough and had to retreat. It's fine.
Obviously.
Yeah.
One player character permadeath is enough for session 2.
Yeah.
I almost had her. She was on the ropes. I was like halfway through one of her dogs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will say, for any DMs out there, any would-be DMs, if you're for some reason listening to this for advice, first of all, don't. There are much better sources than this. Second of all, be very careful when designing encounters, because when you have rules that allow for permadeath, having a situation at level 3 where that permadeath may just happen can be not just rough for the player, but also difficult to figure out in the moment what's going to happen and how to get this player set up with the only next option, which is a new character. And speaking of new characters, it was shortly after Rodrum's death, as this party of adventurers, licking their wounds, decided to head down the road, that they met their new friend, William Kidsley, aka Billy. Welcome to the show, Billy!
Hey, it's me, Billy. I mean, William Kidsley, but that's a long name. He goes by Billy. Showed up to the party, and in this world, he disguised himself as a human. Because,
Follow 20 minutes.
well, that's when we had corruption rules weird. Anyway, he showed up disguised as a human warlock, and they were immediately attacked by ogres, and then he shot the Eldritch Blast. Well, actually, no, I think he used Witch Bolt in that fight. I never used it again. And he was pretty good. He shot a lot of shots, and then joined the party pretty easily.
And I made a joke that I regret to this day.
Yep.
Where I found out he was Goat Man. And I made a joke saying, ha ha ha, it's Billy the Kid.
Yep.
Like a goat
We all,
child.
That's my character build now.
we all regret this joke.
I do
That
apologize.
later. So, one thing about my character, he had a warlock. He had the invocation masking many faces, so we could disguise self at will. When you cast spells, when you expend a spell slot specifically, you gain corruption. When we were at that point, we'd forgotten about the expending a spell slot portion of that, and we thought it was when you cast a spell. So every time Billy cast a spell, he gained corruption, and it got to the point where he was getting dangerously high in corruption, which he shouldn't have anyway, for multiple reasons. And so that's when I told the party, a few hours after meeting them, that I was a satyr, not a human. Which the party, probably against like what the world would have taught them so far, was pretty much chill with that.
Yo, I was completely fine with it.
Well, yeah, but you're Cara.
Yeah, so the party, who had basically just started hanging out together, now had not one but two Fey people in their mix. And well, that was going to go up a little bit, but at the same time the numbers of the party were going to decrease quite a bit more, and then increase a little more, and then decrease. You guys never stayed at like the same party size for more than like 3 sessions. Like nowadays it's kind
Absolutely
of the
not.
same number, but sometimes it's 4 of you, sometimes it's 8,000 of you, and I cannot keep track of all your names and where am I.
Don't worry about it, it's great.
Cool.
One more point we had before this in like campaign chronological order is Revenant, Lee's Revenant.
That did that begin?
Because that's important.
Was
That's kind
that
of big.
Revenant was before
That
Rosemary.
began session 2.
that was session 2?
When we were going to butterfly.
Yeah.
That was on the way to fight the big butterfly. We first encountered the Revenant
Yeah, that is right.
and an Umber Hulk in the same encounter in a
Yes,
very narrow corridor.
I remember now.
I remember
Ah,
we were wailing
that's
on the Revenant while you guys were fighting an Umber Hulk.
Yeah.
Me and Lee
I'm pretty
specifically.
I think I was playing Rodrum at that point in the middle of the combat, and I couldn't get past anyone, so I was just doing nothing, which was good.
I'm very
Horrible.
happy I wasn't.
It was rough.
Right, that's when I used a table as a weapon for a solid, probably, what, hour?
You used a table as a weapon until
doesn't have
Rodrum died.
Yeah. And it wasn't even my table, I just took it from the inn.
Yep.
He didn't have Carbon Brawler. He had no reason to do that except for our like test session. He had a door. It had a ward spellcast on it that he used as a shield. That's his only justification of using a table.
You know,
It was fun.
the more this discussion goes on, it sounds like I just set up a lot of really, like, impossible encounters for you guys. But you guys killed the
Yeah.
Revenant
Yeah.
and
No,
the
we had
Umber
time.
Hulk.
Yep. That just proves how good
Yeah.
we are.
No one died in that encounter.
All strategy.
I don't know who went down, but no one died.
Lee. Lee went down a lot.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah,
quite a bit.
There was, I remember the Revenant basically like pinning Lee to the ground, like legs over his chest and just pummeling him in the face while I was desperately trying to stab this Revenant to unconsciousness.
I have some fun backstory about the Revenant actually. The entire conception of Lee has a Revenant after him came from this exact conversation. I think Adam might be able to remember this. Dylan came up to me at like the beginning of session 2 and was like, "Hey, I had some more ideas for Lee. Specifically, there was this person that he killed." He began to shout. I told him, "Shh," and that was that. That, I believe, was basically all we had established on the topic, was that he had like killed somebody, and it was, I think he said that it was his best friend. That was basically it on Dylan's side that was brought up as far as the Revenant goes. And at some point during the session, I think I was reminded that Revenants exist from one of the old books. So I was just like, well, let's try this, shall we? And so began the saga of the Revenant, which became a recurring villain for a while.
I think we were what, like level 7 before we got rid of that thing?
Yep.
it was.
We
Yeah,
traveled.
that's when we finally got banishment.
Yeah.
Level 7, because none of us could
Well,
banish
level
him.
5 is banishment, but it's level 3.
Nope, it's level 4.
It's level 4.
I don't know. I'm not a cleric.
A level 3 spell. No, it's not. It's level 4.
See? It's an understandable mistake. Point is, that's when we managed to banish it. At least level 7.
And dinosaur it.
Yeah.
No, it dinosaur us.
Continue. No. Anyway,
Yeah.
continuing on from where we were, Rodrum's dead. Everyone's happy.
Taylor, do you have an Arabic alphabet on your keyboard?
Cubby.
Well, I guess Graden's not continuing for us.
No, I was going to, and then Cubby opened his mouth.
I say random shit.
You know those times when we're about to say things and then Cubby opens his mouth and everything just goes down the drain?
Great.
This is such
Yeah,
a clusterfuck,
that's
and I love it.
Point is, I'm taking over. And just to get this back on track, we met up we went to the next town, and I believe that's where we met the circus people, if I remember correctly. Because we met them almost immediately after meeting Billy.
You met a few people in that next town, the town of Wardreach. You met, let's see. That was your first place where you met Kalzun, I believe, but it was way later on that you actually ended up meeting him.
We met Kalzun outside of
when you were
Wardreach.
when you guys were leaving Wardreach, way later on, you met Kalzun.
When we returned to Wardreach one time, that's when we met him.
Yes.
And you guys got banned.
Yes, we'll be getting to that. The party basically ran into quite a few different people in Wardreach, didn't you? You met the first like big organization of the Wardens, which was like this big overarching, like very powerful defensive force. These veteran warriors that had trained their entire lives to defend the Eternal Ward, which the Eternal Ward refers to a lot of things, like a region of the map and also a citadel. It's fine.
And a suicide bomb.
They're used interchangeably. It's okay.
And also the big shield protecting not Fae from Fae.
Yes.
Yeah, it's kind of a big plot piece.
I'd like to reiterate the suicide box. You know, the box, the word.
You're cutting out and okay.
No, he muted me. I was just explaining to him what I mean by that is the thing that the wardens see, and they have to like.
He's motioning killing himself.
Specifically slicing his throat. Thank you.
Great.
Well, I could just
We
snap his
can't
neck.
see that.
Position.
He's trying to. I don't know what he's doing.
Taboo.
Look, we're gonna
We're
cover
talking
the
about what Graden's doing.
we're gonna cover the magic and lore and the ward stuff later on. I want to focus more on the characters this first episode anyway.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's a whole lot of stuff to get into, like half-assed right now. So I would just want to focus on this first little arc that you guys went through. The party at this point basically ran into a few different people. Other people they met was Zelithir, the human wizard, the first NPC of many that would become their like prime traveling companions. They met a previous hero of basically the world, known only as the Zealot, and basically enlisted his help in trying to get rid of the Revenant issue. And lastly, you guys met Master Warden Tarkius, who, while we're not going to touch too much on the Wardens and what they are, basically is this extremely powerful wandering figure that whenever there's an issue in the Eternal Ward itself, it is taken care of. And yes, while it has multiple meanings, he's there whenever there's a problem, so it doesn't matter.
He's the call-in ass kicker.
Yeah. So the party set off to try and fix the Revenant issue, as well as to try and pursue some of their own issues at the same time. Because basically a lot of you were just interested in traveling around at this point. And seeing as how Lee was a super nice guy, and Rodrum was dead, you were kind of out of options of other people to help.
Basically, we were told to go murder some followers of the Webmother because they were being followers of the Webmother.
The Webmother
And
is one of our table
not-
names for Drow. Lol.
Well, I mean, yeah. Basically, we were sent to murder them for being religiously different.
Well, I mean, Lolth is very culty.
Lolth is fine. Shut up.
You're lying to yourself, and you know that.
The party was level 4, had no other options. Their dog friend was being beaten up every day, and had no choice but to get involved in religious wars. And I think there we're going to leave it off, because we're over 2 hours of recording, even with what I'm going to cut out.
Oh wow.
Yep. Yeah, we've been here a little bit.
So, Chris,
Now let's talk about Kalzun's deal.
Well, no one's listening. Quick. Kalzun's deal.
Chris,
Yeah, Taylor. Yep.
well, I kind of came up with this like half-assed idea, and honestly, I think it would be hilarious. But like, what if we animate what we're saying, but keep? Hold on, before you say no, stick figures.
Okay.
Okay,
I'm gonna do
Any
2
of us know how to-
hours of stick-figure animation.
Me?
Animate. I can draw. I can draw stick figures. I have nothing better to do. If I get like a general, we're talking about this at this point, I can put something together.
I demand you base Billy's stick figure off the one I've already created.
I mean, there's no other current image, so I guess I have to.
you can just make like a claymation of our drawings of our characters, like butting in and out when we talk.
No, I'll just do stick figures. It's easier.
So,
Just stills, but
I
Well,
mean,
like you have the stick figures and you put the people into frame whenever they talk.
oh, like put them on like a popsicle stick and then move them around. Something
Oh.
like that.
I think I've seen that before.
we're just stealing ideas.
You didn't. My gosh, Chris,
Mhm.
or not Chris, Nick, you need to watch CP Gray and take whatever CPG Gray and take inspiration from him.
Okay.
I will say yes to this request to quote unquote animate this section. That being said, this podcast is an audio format, which means we're gonna have to do some links. We don't have any of the links yet. We don't have any of them. I'm sorry. We don't have any links. We don't have a spot. We're not on Spotify yet. As of recording this, we're not on. Where do you watch podcasts? Where do you listen to podcasts? YouTube. We
I
are on
link to
YouTube.
See, we win.
We are in fact on YouTube.
Yeah,
If you go
the-
to, sorry, I'm sorry. Am I the one saying the YouTube link, or do you have something else to say, Nick?
Talk.
Okay, apparently not. Yeah, so check us out on YouTube at Alvesie_Sprocket. You can find, right now, aside from this, just a bunch of my garbage, so check that out. I'm also on Twitter, but I don't use the Twitter, so just ignore that. Do you guys have anything you want to plug? Any sites you want to talk about?
No.
I don't.
I also have Twitter.
know.
Okay, so I mean, I have an Instagram. There's nothing on it, and it's just there so I can look at prequel memes. So I have nothing.
You can find Nick on Steam playing such games as Skyrim. That is all.
Lego Star Wars.
Lego Star Wars.
Of course, yeah, like Piglin. That's a good game. Demo for that came out at some point. Pretty fun.
I would like to talk about Bitcoin.
No.
Okay, never mind.
You can buy Graden's Bitcoin now. We're not going to tell you the link or anything. You got to find it.
No, any Bitcoin.
You can send him
I don't
Bitcoin.
have any Bitcoin to sell.
Well, don't tell them that.
I only want one Bitcoin though, like one bit of a coin. I don't want the fancy electronic garbage.
I'll buy the coin and give it to you.
Yeah, that's what I want. But like 1,000.
There you go.
I mean, I would, but I haven't posted on my Instagram in like 3-4 months, so I don't see the point. I mean, if you want to follow me, I guess it would be Shelby Cash 33. Pretty much anything with that is probably me. So yeah.
I have nothing.
He
I have
own-
nothing to plug.
He owns nothing. Give this man something. Give this man your Twitters, everyone. Give him your Reddits. You're on Reddit. That's about it.
Yeah, that's true.
Don't
Have
post
fun.
anything.
Seeing my iPhone.
Check him out on Reddit as the one person who has put a post for one of my videos.
Yeah, actually my PlayStation gamer tag, just add me. Jake
Wow.
of capital J, a 0 instead of the O for of, and then a capital G.
Say the name again.
Jake of Geico. It's a joke on the whole Jake from State Farm.
We got you. You just cut out in the middle of Geico, so I wanted you to say it.
Oh, okay. So yeah, Jake of Geico.
You can check him out there playing.
It's a picture of Kratos.
Scott Kratos. Cubby.
Don't you guys put that. First off, don't you dare put that damn Kratos me photo on. Also, I'm an old.
I'm animating. I'm gonna put that in.
Also, I'm an old man, so I don't have any of those social media things.
That's okay.
He is an old man that is younger than
And
most of us.
Once again, for bottom billing, I'd like to say, please give me your Bitcoins.
That's it. That's
And
the
with that,
podcast.
we-
Episode 1.
Back to
We did it. Good night.
Woo.
Woo.
Ooh, bye.
Good night. well.
I
Yo.
won't. Yo!
I won the podcast, guys.
Read